space tells a story of material, mood, and meaning. This is the Oppolia Effect, where we uncover the creative forces behind the region's evolving design language. So today, we are joined by architect Jason Scarlett. Welcome.
Hi, thank you, Chantal. Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. I'm excited to have you as an interior designer myself. I think we have a lot of similar language, and I'm excited to explore that with you.
There's a definite overlap in what we do.
Yes, yes. So I want to kind of start off by just, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself first before I just dive straight into some questions for you?
Yeah, sure. I am an architect. I'm a registered architect. I've been practicing in the profession for approximately 14, 15 years. However, I've been registered as an architect for a bit over 10 years. So I am from Jamaica. I've been living in Trinidad since late 2008. In addition to being an architect, I'm also a project manager and I'm also a lead AP.
Okay. Oh, that's a lot to manage between,
It, sorry, go ahead.
no, between the three, right? I mean, because they're all a little demanding.
It's a lot to manage, but I do think that it helps me as an architect. It helps the projects that I service, and there, again, there's a lot of overlap between architecture being a lead AP, which is accredited professional,
Yes.
interior design,
Yes.
amongst other things.
And what was the jump? Why jump to Trinidad from Jamaica? Was there something specific that brought you here to us?
Yes, professionally, I mean, there are two reasons or two layers to that response. One is personal. The professional reason is that when I was completing my master's in Jamaica, I knew that I wanted experience outside of Jamaica. The intent was to hop over to Trinidad and then over to our first world country. That did materialize, and I'm still here. But what prompted it is just wanting that experience outside of Jamaica. I had a few offers, which was Trinidad, Barbados, Antigua, and I chose here, and I've been here since.
Very nice. I actually have a little bit of a similar story there. Like, I was only supposed to come here for 1 year. At least that's what I told my dad at the time when I was younger. And I hopped over here and I just never left. Something about Trinidad for me, I guess.
Well, the plan was when I arrived here in 2008, the intent was to leave in 2010. In early 2009, a recession hit. That also delayed me registering as an architect. So I sought to further develop myself as an architect, which is when I decided to um, study to become a project manager, study to become
Right.
a lead AP.
Okay.
So
That makes
in
sense.
that regard, I think that it has worked out.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. Oh, I'm sure it has. I mean, you're here, you have a company, you formed it, it's doing well. Well, okay, so let's jump in then. You often, merge architecture and design in your work, right? So how do you approach creating spaces that feel as good as they function?
Okay. Well, you said merge architecture with design. If you don't mind, for me, architecture and design is synonymous. It's the same
Yes,
thing,
yes,
right? How do I? What's the question? How do I merge?
yes. So, yeah, like how do you approach creating spaces that feel as good as they function? Because, functionality is very important, but for a client, they don't focus on that. They're focusing on the feel of it.
It's a very good question. For me, the process starts with listening. I think that is the most important attribute that any designer can have and aspire to gain, meaning the ability to listen carefully, listen intently. Additionally, I think what's even more important is to listen to what's not being said.
And I was going to bring that up.
Yeah, well, I mean, it starts with a conversation, right? I think the creativity, it starts with a conversation, and then it moves from a conversation over to a sketch on paper to help the client to understand and appreciate what they're investing in and the process that they're investing in. And similar to what we were discussing earlier, I think that is where the trust starts. It's important that our clients trust us. And by the way, you'll note that as we're having this discussion, I'm using the word us because it
Yeah.
can't be done by
Yeah.
one person, just the architect. Yeah.
You need us little interior designers to come
Little
in.
no no no
Essentially.
no. Interior design is a big part of architecture.
Yes, it is. It is.
Equally important, engineering. That's your mechanical, electrical, plumbing,
Yes.
structural.
Yes. Yes. People do forget the technical side of it. And I was talking about this earlier because a lot of people associate interior design with interior decorating rather than the technicalities behind what we actually do, with the floor plans, with the spatial, everything like that. So, yeah.
And what's important is that we all have a conversation, the architect with the interior designer and the engineer, because I think you hit the nail on the head when you said it earlier. We're telling a story.
Yes.
And how do we tell a story? By means of materiality, by light, how we carve that space, the volume of the space. So everyone has to be on the same page, inclusive of the contractor.
Yeah, I can agree. And yeah, that's a dream team right there. Is if you really can put together a team that all understands each other and can focus and create something beautiful from design to build. Yeah. Okay, so in your view, does the Caribbean have its own architectural language or design identity? Would you say?
I do think that yes, there's such a thing as Caribbean vernacular. I think that this is one that is constantly being explored. There are a few texts that have tried to capture what Caribbean vernacular is. I do also I do see similarities across the Caribbean, be it Jamaica, Trinidad, Barbados. And if I may say so, I'm not an expert in Caribbean vernacular architecture. However, the commonalities all derive from responding to the weather, and specifically our climate in this region.
And it's ever changing. You know what I mean? So there are things that need to be developed and things that need to change. So it is something that is interesting.
I agree with that. I was having a discussion with my team recently regarding passive cooling. And the truth is that much of what we learned in school is still very much applicable. However, I think that we have to appreciate with global warming that we need to be a bit more keen on the opportunities that passive cooling presents, and also to continuously and constantly explore what that means.
And within what we're able to access here as well, because these systems that are, being enhanced and these technologies, we don't often have the access to. So it is interesting how we would, either get it to Trinidad or what resources we have to pull
Yeah.
from.
Well, I mean, pros and cons of everything, right? I agree
Yes,
with you that
because we need
access
it.
to some materials, it's very limited. And maybe that's a good thing because it's forcing us to look within.
Yes.
And what I will say from my experience is quite a few of the products that we get outside of the Caribbean, it wasn't designed for the Caribbean. So importing it here, you have to know how to carefully use it. And many times they don't stand up.
And that's why I think now we're starting to bring it from within. We're starting to create, different design places. I mean, look at Oppolia, for example, for the interiors, where we have it here locally to source so that with everything going on in the world, we can still create everything we need right here. Okay, so moving on to my next question then. Collaboration is a big part of your field. What are some of your biggest challenges or pet peeves when it comes to working with interior designers or contractors?
It's getting everyone to be on the same page. We touched on it earlier.
Yeah,
Collaboration is
yeah,
key. I
yes.
agree with you, right? It's getting everyone to buy into that story
Or your vision,
and
perhaps.
the vision. And unfortunately, in most instances, some members of the design team they aren't engaged until later on, so they've missed that journey. So for me, that's one of the challenges with collaborating. So it's my approach or solution to it is to try to encourage a client to bring everyone on board as early as possible. If not, then it takes more time to onboard these other consultants. One of the things that we do is for every project that we develop, we offer to the client a VR service,
Right.
right? And it's
Okay.
important for us that not only the client has access to that, the VR, virtual reality walkthrough, but the contractor, so that even if that contractor is engaged a year after or 2 years after, we can invite that contractor, the interior designer, the electrical engineer, look, come into our office, let's have a discussion, let's get you set up, and you can walk through the project virtually, so you
Yes.
better appreciate what the vision is.
Yes. And I was going to ask if you have a preferred, team that you would work with, or because, I mean, you must to an extent, but yes, sometimes things change and sometimes people would prefer their own contractor or their own interior designer. And yes, it takes time to get to a certain point before they are engaged. So it is interesting that that is how you would
Yeah,
manage that. But yeah.
we do have a preferred core team
Yeah.
that we like to work with. However, you learn new things working with other people. So we as best as possible, we try to branch out.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you see the relationship between interior and exterior design? I mean, do you design one to lead the other, or do you treat them as a continuous story?
For me, there isn't a boundary.
Right.
It's important that the interior responds to the exterior and vice versa. How do we design? We design three dimensionally, taking into account the quality of light that is coming into the space from outside, and how is the interior responding to that. Yeah, I think that especially in the Caribbean, where we have this lovely weather that we need to capitalize on, and again the natural light, it's very key in telling that story. And if you're able to and the client allows you the freedom and flexibility, there is an opportunity to create poetry in that space. We all experience space differently. It's the architect's intent to try to tell that story via design, right? However, at the very core, I do think that any good design should have a story to tell, and it should have an impact on you even after leaving that space. And sometimes the effect may not necessarily be a good one. No, just bear
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'm
just bear
hearing.
with me.
Yeah.
Recently, my team and I entered a competition. It was for the Museum of Emotions, where there are two spaces. There's a negative space, and then there's the positive space. And what that competition, or participating, I should say, in that competition did is that it allowed us to better understand how powerful it can be to create a space that has that positive or negative emotion on you. So that being said, there are spaces that are deliberately designed for you to keep at bay, right? Or to trigger a negative emotion. I can take it a step further, which is some food court spaces are actually designed
So that you don't
so you don't stay.
stay long.
Yes, which
Yes. Yes, I
right?
do.
So and, and
Yes.
and that's deliberate, because of course it's
Of
all about
course.
the revenue,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
So
It's
there,
very intentional.
yes,
Yes.
it is. It is. Yeah.
Airport. maybe is kind
Yes.
of in the middle ground there because you
Yes,
kind of
agreed.
have to, but
Agreed. But I think you'll realize the difference when you move across a certain airports where there are opportunities to stay
to
much
stay and
longer,
linger. Yes,
even sleep.
correct. Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the movie The Terminal the other day, actually, and that's why that
That's a
popped
good
in
one.
my head. It is
That's
a
a good
good
one.
one.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I thought to myself, and he was creating areas to sleep, obviously, because he was there for so long. But anyway, it just popped in my mind as one of those spaces. But
It's also being able to create spaces in the urban fabric for street dwellers.
yeah,
We overlook the importance of how the urban fabric responds to um, these different typologies of space, right? I mean, we're in Trinidad. Carnival is also a big thing here. What I found is that there are quite a few successful buildings that respond to what Carnival brings during that time, and then they're not so successful ones because just like architecture, Carnival is also telling a story, right? And if you can decide your facade and how that building is interacting with the street during that time,
yes.
then that's magic right there.
It's interesting that you
So
mentioned that.
architecture should at all times respond to the culture as well.
And I was gonna say, in talking about the culture and just, when you were saying, you know, coming back to more restoration, like, do you enjoy more builds that you are restoring something that has already been there for however long, or do you prefer a new age build, something that you're starting from scratch and it's more modern?
I prefer a challenge. I don't know. I think for me it's 50-50.
Right, yes.
Restoring a building comes with its own challenges and its limitations. And that to me also forces you to be a bit more creative versus what I also like, which is just a blank canvas. So I'm 50-50. It depends a lot on um, again the client
Yeah,
budget amongst
yes,
other things.
yes. But if you had your way and you really could, I do agree. Like, it would tear me as well. Like, I can't decide which one I prefer because it's just so much emotion behind restoration. But then when you build something from scratch, you're just like I can just do whatever I want here. That's like it's almost feels limitless.
Yeah, agreed,
So
agreed.
yeah, so it's finding, I guess, a balance of being able to do both, right? Okay, so in the Caribbean climate, we spoke about this, but it has such a strong personality. How does it shape your choices around layout, ventilation, and materials? I mean, you did touch on it a bit, but anything you want to add to that?
I think it's just more of what I said. So let me just maybe go back to how we approach our design because there is the macroclimate and then there's the microclimate. I think that for building to be successful, of course it has to respond to the climate, and that means also having a conversation with the site. Now,
And it's different in different areas throughout Trinidad as
exactly.
well.
Now, what do I mean by having a conversation or a dialogue with the site? It's when you go on site and you observe the wind direction, sun direction, the vista, the views, um, your neighbors as well, and I think that's your micro um, observations, and then there's the macro observations or the macro climate, i.e., what's the approach to the site, what's the surrounding environs, right, and how should your site respond to that.
Okay, well, let me veer off of that then. It's like when you're working with clients, get back to the client base because, yeah, how do you find the balance between their practical needs, the environmental realities, and your own creative vision?
Um, well, first, I think that architecture is a balance. It's a balance of all things. Now, having a discussion with the client and understanding their needs I do think that at some point in time, it would be to have a very frank conversation with the client to advise them on the implications of what some of their needs are, and whether or not it's feasible. And for me, that is where the wearing the hat of a project manager also helps with managing personalities and expectations, right?
Yes.
So, with that said, there are the client's needs. There's what the site has to offer, and there's also what your budget will allow.
That word,
Yes, yeah. So it's really having that dialogue so that everyone is on the same page, so that we have an outcome that is appreciated
Yes.
by all.
Yes. And touching on budget, a lot of clients don't see oftentimes where their budget is going. It's hard to really show them, okay, or for them to understand in the early stages. A lot of people aren't visual. A lot of people need visuals to really see what they're going to get
Yeah, yeah.
in the
Which
end.
which
So,
you can understand why I mean, yeah.
absolutely.
I mean, I certainly understand why clients wouldn't be able to appreciate what construction cost is. They're not trained to understand that, and it's our responsibility as designers to educate clients, right? One of the things that one of our greatest challenge is around the context or conversation of budget is to also have the client appreciate that the construction budget is highly contingent on the finishes that you
That
choose,
we
or
choose.
yes,
Yes.
or you
Yes.
desire. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And of course there are some costs that we really have no control over. The cost of steel, cement, amongst other things.
Well, I do find like as an interior designer and being here in Trinidad now, we are getting more options, as I said earlier, to choose different materials and source them locally. So that does make it a little bit easier to know what we have available. So when in a design I do a rendering or it's just generally, I would be able to pick and choose from what we have available, and it is actually realistic. So it does make it a lot easier with the end result, and they can see, okay, this is how much it's going to cost versus something that is a little bit more estimated.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. I mean, what I've found, of course, with technology and applications such as Pinterest, amongst others, oftentimes clients come to you and they're showing you what their expectations via that image. And as you've said, the good thing is now is that we do have access to majority of those materials. Yeah,
And which is exciting. It's
of
exciting
course.
for me.
Of course, of course, of course, because you're
you
able
know
to play more, right?
Yes, and I love to play and I love to mix and I love to try, and I so it is nice to be able to do that more now. So the future is looking bright for design here, and I'm excited about it. I'm very, we have a lot upcoming. So let's see where it takes us. So, do you mind if we do a little quick session of this or that? Basically, I'm going to
Sure,
ask you,
sure.
I'm going to shoot you some questions. Just tell me off the bat what you would prefer, this or that.
Go ahead.
Okay, so symmetry or asymmetry?
Asymmetry.
Me too. Definitely
Yeah,
asymmetry. I don't know, like, is that just a us thing? Because I feel like everyone chooses symmetry. Like, symmetry is key.
yeah, yeah. I think that asymmetry, it's more playful, and it's not it's typically not what most people are expecting, and that's the beauty of design.
Yes, exactly. I feel like, someone asked me, when you walk into a store, would you go left or right? And somehow I always go left, but most people always go right. Do you go left?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Same here, same
Yeah,
here, same here.
right. So
Yeah,
I think that's a
yeah.
creative thing. Maybe the way that we're wired, it is something that it's why we do what we do. Okay, next, industrial or natural texture? I know
Um,
that's kind of
the sustainable side of me is saying natural. I'm going to go with natural.
I'm in
Yes.
agreement with you.
Yeah.
Especially now, I mean, it seems trendy now to go with natural, but
Yeah. Actually, I don't know why I hesitated. It's definitely natural.
yeah,
I love nature.
yeah,
So yeah, it just makes sense. Yeah.
natural it
Yeah.
is. Beautiful. Thinking somebody travertine, it's just okay.
That organic flow that natural materials bring. Agreed.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. Love it. Okay, sustainable materials, as you just said, or luxury finishes.
Sustainable. All the way. It makes sense.
Okay,
We
yeah.
need to give back to the earth. We need
And
to.
and and what about when the people they say, no, I want this to look like this. I mean, can you make the sustainable into luxury? Yes,
Yeah. Agreed. I mean, you can.
you can.
Yes. I
There's a
mean,
way to do it.
yeah. So sustainable can be luxury.
So
Guess
it's
I
not.
guess it's just how it's crafted.
Yes, that's very true.
Yeah.
Very true. Okay. Modular design or custom build.
Everything has its place. I would say custom built. Yes, custom built because it gives you an opportunity to express yourself and creativity. If you don't mind, I'd say that there is a need for modular design, especially in low income housing. So it has its place. But I think that most designers' dream would be,
Yes. I mean, I'm thinking initially right now, like Barbados has so many developments, but it's cookie cutter at this point. A lot of them. There's a few that are, but most of it is just, it's the same thing over and over again. And that just makes the most because they're bringing in however many from wherever finishes and whatnot. Okay. Break the rules or follow the code.
oh no, break the rules.
What? I did not expect that from you. Somehow I thought you were going to say follow the code
Oh
100%.
no, break the rules. That definitely. I mean, of course, there are codes that you must follow,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
But break the rules. That's where the fun is. How
Yes.
can you do things differently, not expected? That's
What,
excitement.
Jason? You're surprising me.
I'm sorry to disappoint you.
I'm not disappointed at all. I think that's great. I agree with you 100%. I'm a rule breaker myself. I love to try new things and just like create it, make it,
Yeah, agreed.
design it.
Agreed. I mean,
Yeah.
how else do you create something new? How else do you push the boundaries?
Yes,
You need to
yes.
constantly break the rules.
Yes. Okay. All right. It's okay. Yes, you have me there. So it's your second time here because you did
Second
come
time.
to the opening.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about Oppolia?
I think that the layout of the showroom, it's very user friendly. It's wayfinding is definitely there. I think that the display of materials, it's very exciting. What came to me was finally there's another opportunity here where we can get things done locally, and also from what I understood is that majority of the products are coming outside of Trinidad already prefabricated,
Yes.
right?
Makes your job that much easier.
Yeah, it does because as we mentioned earlier, clients want to be able to feel and to see and to touch.
Yes.
So what better opportunity than to take them to Oppolia so that they can see what they're about to invest in?
And that is the key.
Agreed. So it makes my job easier.
Yes.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It does.
Mine too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. I mean, this has been very insightful. I feel like, speaking with an architect, I have so many questions for you, so many more questions for you. but
Feel free to ask.
but yeah, thank you so much for joining us. And I think everyone is going to be, very intrigued with how they can do their home next or their commercial property next. So it's been lovely. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
So Jason's work really reminds us that architecture isn't only about what we build, but how we feel within it. And that's all at the heart of what Oppolia stands for: design that connects emotion, form, and living.